Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. To start with, just want to check if you can hear me fine. If you guys can hear me fine, please, say on the chat box that you can see on your screen. You can type in your responses on the. Thank you. Thank you, Sutirtha, Swati. Uh, Before we start, we'll just wait for 5, 6 more minutes to let other people join as well. All right, I think we can start. Good morning, everyone. Again, welcome to the webinar. Myself, Viplav Raj Sharma. Today we'll be talking about analytics landscape in marketing. Before we get into the content, here is a quick, just a second. Yep, here is a quick intro about me. I am currently serving as General Manager for Operations and Analytics at Great Learning. In total, I have 9+ years of experience in applied data science and analytics, where I have solved problems for 15 plus organizations across US, Australia, and India. Some of the logos I've worked for: Coles, second largest supermarket in Australia; Flybuys, it's the largest loyalty program in Australia; Suncorp is one of the largest financial services group in Australia; Mu Sigma, you would have heard of. It's the largest pure play analytics services firm based out of Bangalore. Ticket Merchant is the second largest online ticket marketplace in Australia. Barnes and Noble, a US bookstore. RMIT University is one of the largest education institutes in Australia. Walmart.com, I think most of you would be familiar with. Some of the problems that I've worked on are around customer loyalty, offer recommendation engines, which are around personalization, campaign optimization, around range optimization, what kind of products to put in the store to maximize traffic, funnel optimization. This is all around digital marketing. Conversion forecasting, what drives conversion, how to improve conversion from lead to customer. Customer decision trees, how do customers go about making decisions when buying something online. That's some of the problems for you. Now, let's talk about the contents. So we'll talk about a quick introduction to analytics, and then we'll venture into marketing in 21st century. We'll talk about some of the use cases, the problems which are pertinent in marketing in today's world. And then we'll spend some time talking through one of the problems in marketing through a case study. In the last 20 minutes, I'll take questions from you. During this session, whenever you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat box. And towards the end of the session, I'll try and answer as many as I can. All right, let's get started. So start with introduction to analytics. So in very, very simple words, the analytics is the process of going from data to decisions, right? And here, I would like to ask you, when you think of decisions, what kind of decisions? Sorry, I have guys. Can you hear me? Can you please type in the chat box if you can hear me fine? Okay. So here, I would want to, ask you, what kind of decisions are we talking about? You feel free to type on the chat box some of the decisions that come to your mind, which you think are required to be taken by businesses or organizations. Any ideas? Yep. Growth scenarios, pricing decisions. Yep. Yep. So I think as quite a few of you have mentioned, some of the decisions that you could be taking in businesses are, which customer should I target with marketing? Which social media platform should I advertise on? What product should I place in my stores? What should be the price of my new product? How to improve my customer satisfaction? Or how do I improve my organization's productivity? There's examples, very, very few examples of a lot of decisions that are taken on a daily basis by businesses. Now, in order to take those decisions, what kind of data do you think is? Yep. Yes. So, yep, as some of you have suggested, you could be, looking at, the customer profiles, their spends. You could be looking at customer product purchases, what kind of products they are purchasing, demographics, like some of you said, age, and employee working activity, and then you can look at product sales data. You can look at macroeconomic trends, what is happening in the economy in general, what are the wage rates, unemployment, GDP, all those things. You can look at online user behavior, where are customers spending time, and what content are they engaging with, right? Again, these are some of the examples of what kind of data you can use to get to those decisions. So that's a very quick overview of what analytics is. Now let's talk about some basics. Now here, if you think of how does data get generated? At the end of the day, everything starts from a human behavior. You are swiping your credit card in stores, you are purchasing online, you are engaging with content, you're looking at ads. All those are human behaviors, and in today's world, that behavior can be tracked, and that results in data. So data is nothing but digital footprint of human behavior. Once you have the stored data, then you can basically put them into some format which is easy to read and analyze. From that data, you can analyze it in many different ways, like you would have heard of machine learning techniques. So you can kind of basic analysis, so basically the whole field of data science and analytics. You can apply those techniques. And why do you apply them? You want to identify patterns and extract insights from them. And using those insights, you take decisions and actions. And what happens after that? Reinforces the human behavior. And this cycle keeps going, right? And this basically is the basic cycle of analytics. Hey guys, I'm getting some comments that my voice is not clear. Can you just uh, let me know if you can hear me fine, just by typing on the chat box? Thank you. Thank you. All right. So now this is a very basic overview of what analytics cycle looks like. Now let's try and put this into slightly more structured way, slightly more sophisticated way. And that is where you see all the different layers of analytics, right? Let's start at the top. What happens here? This is decision support. All the business leaders of the organizations are taking decisions on a daily basis. What happens in this layer? They identify focus areas, they ask key questions, take decisions, identify actions, put those actions into operations, operationalize them, and then measure performance. The next layer is about visualization. This is where people collaborate, to answer key questions, look at the outputs, extract insights, define problems, and then discuss and shape the recommendations that then given to decision support leaders at the top. What's the next layer? That is where data science comes in. This is where all the solutioning happens, where you analyze, identify patterns, extract insights from data using statistical and machine learning techniques. For that to happen, what you need is data which is ready for analysis. Now, this is a very important layer in this whole stack, where you consolidate data, you cleanse it, you transform it, create new variables, get it ready for analysis, so that data science can happen in a meaningful way. And at the bottom of it are data systems. These are all the data warehouses, data lakes, in the cloud, virtualizations, ETLs, architecture, all those things, right? And the bottom is where you capture data as the data sources, right? Now, if you think about this in any organization, as you would have probably seen in yours as well, it's a continuous cycle where you plan top down, where business leaders say, this is my focus area and these are the questions I want to answer. And then you basically execute bottom up, saying, go from data to support those decisions. And this cycle of creation and consumption continues. Now, this is what the analytics layers look like. This is the overall holistic view of what analytics entails. This point in time, again, guys, if you have any questions, please continue typing in the chat box. All right, let's move to a slight distinction between what is analytics and what is data science, and this confusion is widespread in the industry. I feel, having seen it from close quarters. So I think the key differentiation here is the data science is a part in analytics where you need to look at three broad skill sets. Now, what you see on the left, on the top left, is the computer science and technology skill set. Now, if you have those capabilities, you can basically support the other two. The what you see on the top right is maths and statistics, and what you see on the bottom is domain and business knowledge. Now, for good data science to happen, you need all three of them. As you can see in the other overlaps in this Venn diagram, if it's only computer science and maths and statistics, it's machine learning. If it's computer science and technology and business only, then it's software development, as has been happening over the last couple of decades, so the IT boom. And what you see on the right is when maths and statistics happen and you have business knowledge, that's traditional research where statisticians, go around surveying and analyzing data of a few thousand customers to answer some business questions. Now with the merger of all these three, you can do data science where you can analyze petabytes of data. You can extract those insights at scale. So that's what data science, I would say, requires the capability skill set. And but for this to really have an impact in organization, you need all those layers above and below it, where you need to collaborate and support leaders, make them understand what this means. And you also need right data infrastructure for this to happen. So that was the introduction to analytics. Again, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box. Now let's talk about a bit of marketing. So a large part of life in 21st century is lived online, right? Think about this: how much time you spend online, sending number of emails you send, the data you consume on websites, YouTube's, the social media, shopping online, right? So what this has created is a world of data, and the amount of data that is getting generated every year is much more than what we have ever seen, and this kind of just exploding. What that means is that the way we have visibility into the customers, the way we can track people and understand how they behave online, has completely changed the marketing landscape, and it has seen a tremendous amount of evolution in last couple of decades. Let's try and put things into perspective. So what was then and what is now? Then it was a very limited reach to customers, which was localized and limited during limited time of the day. So there was TVs, radios, banners, the billboards, the newspaper ads. It was very localized in terms of the reach, in terms of geography, certain city or maybe a state, maximum a nation maybe, and during a certain time of the day, where during the day when people are active either on the roads or watching TV or listening to radio, you can reach to them. But now it has completely changed. Multiple touch points, 24/7, and global, right? Where you can basically reach people through the social media, their online, your Google, TV, blogs, you name it, and it's there, and you can reach them 24/7. And globally, you're not restricted by geographies when it comes to advertising. I mean, I can advertise to US sitting from India. So that has completely changed the way marketeers have to now think about how to market, how to reach their customer. The other thing that has happened is that back in the days there was limited visibility into customer engagement. Okay, I put a billboard um, uh, on the most busy road in the city, but how many actually saw it? How many actually noticed it? you would find it very, very hard to get that visibility, and you just don't know. But now there is very comprehensive visibility across all customer touch points and actions. You can track every click of a customer on your website, and you can track the whole journey of customer on the website. So at the end of the day, whatever ads you put on whatever forums and whatever social media or through emails or Google, you can basically understand what is the contribution of each of them into your total sales that you're doing as a business. Uh, let's talk about a few problems right now. At the end of the day, you would have heard of it, right? It's solutions can be generated as long as you have the right questions. And I feel the three most important questions in marketing analytics are these. The most important question is, who is my customer, right? Now, if in order to know who your customer is, some of the things that you can do using analytics is customer segmentation. So to give you an example, so you are a retail chain, and you want to understand what kind of customers shop with you, what kind of income, what kind of age, what is the household size, how frequently do they shop, what kind of products do they like, are they brand conscious or not, to understand and create those different segments. You can use analytics. You can use it to profile market and size it. If you're going to a new market, you want to understand what is the demographics of that geography, what is the purchasing behavior of the customers, and what is the potential. Then social media profiling, like now why it could be important, because not everyone can track their own customers in a very comprehensive way. So they may want to rely on what is the sentiment on social media, what are people talking about, how much of it is positive, how much of it is negative, and then you can try and understand what is the sentiment of your brand online, and accordingly you can adjust your marketing strategies. So other example is lookalike analysis. This is used heavily when you want to reach out to new customers. So what you want to do here is you want to understand your current customers and come up with a technique to identify the new customers that are most likely to convert because they look alike your current customers. So this was the first question, right? Who is my customer? And these are only some of the examples I've talked about. There are many more you can do, which are contextual depending on the organization. And once you know who your customer is, the second question you want to answer is, how do I reach them? And this question goes hand in hand with what is working, right? And in today's world, where there is opportunity to experiment at scale, you can put different types of ads on the same channel based on different geographies, and you can see what's working different time of the day. So these two questions have to be answered hand in hand. And under these, there are some of the use cases like campaign management. You can reach customers, different types of customers with different types of offers that you have. Some people like a discount on it, some people like credit points on the loyalty card for to use later. Some people like bundled offers where you send say a shampoo with a conditioner together at a cheaper price. It excites them. So the campaign management is all about who do you target, when, with what, and through email and what channel, or through social media. Social media sentiment, where you want to understand your advertisement, what kind of sentiment is being generated by that. One of the examples I would give, in Australia there is an Anzac Day which pays tribute to the army who fought in World War II. And in one of the campaigns for on the Anzac Day, they put out an ad, and it basically rubbed the people very, very wrong way. And in that one single week, the sales went down 10% for the second largest supermarket in Australia, and it was immediately taken off. And the first the first channel that told them that it's happening was social media. It's about market mix optimization, where you want to understand which channels, how much to invest in which channel, how much to market at what channel. Omni-channel attribution. If you get a customer, say you are an e-commerce company, and you just got a new customer, you want to understand where this customer came from, the customer can be converted at any touch point, where so saw an ad on Facebook, then went on Google while searching something, saw an ad again, finally got another ad on YouTube, and then that's when he got excited and clicked on it and then went to a website. So which channel actually contributed to this conversion is another very, very important use case. Other is lead journey analysis, which basically is about understanding the journey of your customer on a website. If a new customer comes to a website, what all pages the customer goes through, and what is the most optimum path, or what is the path on the website that has the highest conversion rate. That's a question marketers want to answer very, very badly. And last but not the least, it's the offer recommendation engine, and you would have heard of it quite a lot. It's personalization. It's like it's a very, very famous examples are Amazon's products, that if you go to the Amazon website and you are browsing through a product profile, at the bottom you will see other products popping up. Now those products are not same for everyone. You see them based on your behavior on the website, and then what you have done, how you have engaged with the website in the past, and what you have bought in the past. Same with Netflix. It clearly has a category recommended for you that uses these kind of engines. So while these are all different use cases, right, at the heart of it is one question that every marketer in the world wants to answer: what drives conversion? What gets my customer to purchase from me? And all these questions at the end of the day have to focus on that. And that is one metric that you can be rest assured is common across all the analysis here. So at this point, again, I would ask you guys to post any questions that you might have. And yep. And I think if you can, if you have any other use cases that you can think of, feel free to put that on the chat box as well, and I can talk about them as well. Alrighty. Shall we keep moving, or guys have any specific questions on this slide? Yep. Absolutely. Those are all the things, right? Discount coupons, what works, how much discount to give, um, mark customer lifetime value. Yes, absolutely. One of the questions here is, can social media sentiment work on offline marketing? Absolutely, because people might buy things offline, but they go and talk about it on social media. So if you can, come up with a smart algorithm to harness that sentiment, definitely it can tell you a lot. Yeah, one of the questions is how to market to farmers who have no access to social media. Well, at the end of the day, that's the way world is going. Everyone has a mobile phone, and everyone has a phone number. Everyone will have internet, and they might not have social media, but everyone has WhatsApp. So rest assured that's going to come very soon. All right. I think I'll keep moving, and I'll probably address other questions at the end of it. Alrighty. Now, having gone through this, let's talk about some of the one of the problems actually. Now, this is about a retail chain. Now, what retail chain wants to do is it wants to personalize its weekly specials email, right? To get to kind of put things into perspective. They have the loyalty program, which has about 2 million customers, and this retail chain sells approximately 50,000 products across 800 plus stores. And out of those 50,000, approximately 2 to 3,000 are on discount each week. And what they do is in their email template, you can put 15 products, right? So basically what happens is, say every Wednesday or every Thursday, what they do is they send an email to all of their customers saying, these are the products that are on discount. Now, so far they have been sending a generalized set of 15 top 15 products as they want. But what they want to do is they want to personalize it to the customer and say, okay, which products to which customer. In terms of what is the potential impact of it, right? If you can see, some big numbers here, 2+ million customers and 800 plus scores, right? So if they can increase the customer footfall over the coming weekend. So the email is going on Thursday. The customers are, run to supermarkets over weekends. If they can have 0.1 to 0.2% uplift in customer footfall, that will result in an incremental sales of more than $1 million every week, right? So that is the size of the problem that we're talking about here. Now, how would you go about solving this problem? Any ideas? You can definitely post it. Sorry, yeah. So full form of SKU is store keeping unit. That's a term that is used in retails, in which way they identify the product. It's kind of an unique ID for every product that they're selling. Yep. Yep, that's a good point. Collect purchase history of top customers. Yep. What else? Any other ideas on how would you go about solving this problem? Yep, that's another point. You want to look at, what is how quickly are products moving from the shelf. Great point. Find past purchase of the customers and find similar customers. That also makes sense. Yep. So, yep, a lot of comments here talking about purchase history, visits, volume, frequency. Slightly different comment on contribution margin of profit. That's a very, very good point. Retailers not just want customers to come into stores, they also want, profit at the end of the day. All right. So, I think if you think of this problem, right, there are three components here. And the solution basically lies in, finding the right combination of those three things, which is customer type. What kind of customer is this email going to? Product type, which is what kind of products does that customer want? And third is purchase frequency, which is about the inter-purchase interval. How quickly does the customer buy the product? So I'll delve into each of those, it's in slight details. First is customer type. So what you want to understand here is you want to understand, 360 degree of the customer. What is demographics? How recently was this a customer? There could be a customer who bought with me 6 months ago versus a customer who bought with me last week. The basket size is basically how much money does the customer spend on an average per visit. And the basket profile, what kind of products go into the basket? Like, is it always generally bread or milk, or does it also contain shampoos? Does the customer also buy the cold drinks or vegetables, or wants to buy grains? So what is the general basket profile? And the frequency, how frequently does this customer come to me? And you can, as you expand on all these buckets, there are many points under it that you can use here. So this is about segmenting customers based on these and trying to understand where on the scale customer sits, what type of customer it is, as personal as you can get. At the end of the day, the best personalization is where every customer is different from every other customer. But generally what happens is you end up being very micro segments of you will get a group of say 10, 50, 100 customers who are similar. So that's the first bit. The second bit is around product type. Now, how could product type change? You go talking about the category of the product, or the hierarchy of product. So what do I mean by hierarchy is, there are cold drinks, then there are the black ones and the orange ones and the lime ones. And then within that, there are 700 ml, there is 2 liter, there is 350 ml, and all of these form a hierarchy. And while some customers are specific about a particular size and particular brand and particular price point, other customers just buy a big pack of 30 cokes every week. Doesn't matter what size is in there. And the second one is about the type of product in terms of the life and intent, right? Life as in, is it a short shelf life or long shelf life? Example would be bread, very short shelf life. Shampoo, can keep it there for months. The other is the intent. What is generally the intent of the customer when this product is sold? Example, right? If you're buying vegetables, intent is very clear. Food at home. Where it's buying chips, or chocolates. Those are not something people walk into the store for. They walk into the store for other things, and these are kind of impulse purchases. The other way to look at product type could be, there's a term for it called expandable, whether the product is expandable or not. Another so example there would be a bread. Yeah, a customer walks into the store, will not buy 10 packs of bread ever, right? Unless there is a massive party at home that night. But a customer walks in and looks at discount on a shampoo, might actually end up buying five packets of it. So that's an expandable product, whereas bread is not an expandable product. That plays a huge role in what kind of purchase happens in the store. Then the affinity, what kind of products go together? Milk and bread go together, we know. Yeah, that's a very, very famous example of product affinity. And then health ratings. Some people are conscious about health more and more as we are getting into 21st century, and some people are conscious about it, some people are not. So that is an important product attribute that you want to consider when you want to personalize product for a customer, the offering for a customer. Then the brand strength. Some people are brand conscious, other people are not. Like some people always want to have thumbs up, whereas other people are fine with anything, Coke, thumbs up, or Pepsi. Those are some of the things that you want to understand about the product before you offer that to a customer over an email, personalized email. And the third bit, which kind of connects these two buckets, is the purchase frequency, where we are talking about inter-purchase interval. Now, inter-purchase interval is nothing but an estimation of how frequently does the customer need to buy that product, right? So like in Western culture, one of the very, very famous examples of this is toilet papers. Now, toilet papers is one of the best predictors of purchase frequency of the customer. When it's done, customer will get to the store. There is no other way, right? And it is used a lot to understand this. Another example could be anything that is not expendable, like bread, right? If bread is over, customer will come to you. The milk is over, customer will come to you. So what you want to understand is by customer type, and for each combination of customer type and product type, what is the inter-purchase interval? And the way you want to use this is when you send an email, you want to use the inter-purchase interval and see, is this product due for the customer or not? So if the customer has already bought bread, yesterday, I'm sending an email on Thursday, but customer bought a bread on Wednesday, right? There is no point sending it to the customer saying, hey, it's on special. If customer bought a bottle of shampoo on Monday, then there is no point doing it, because I know that inter-purchase interval of shampoo is approximately 1 month. So that's the third piece of the puzzle. And what you want to do is you want to come up with a smart algorithm that analyzes all these things and comes up with a basic score for each customer, and say, okay, for this product, this customer is the best. So that's the logical structure of what the solution would look like in this case. But the big question, or the most interesting question, is how does data science help? Now, let's talk about some of the techniques that are used in this. So one is clustering and segmentation, right? Now, think about 1 GB of data over last 2 years of 2 million customers, or 5 GBs of data, where you have millions of rows, right? How would you go about identifying different customer types in there? Well, there are algorithms which you can feed all this data into, say 20 demographic variables, recency variables, basket sizes, basket profile, frequency, everything. You can feed into it and comes out at the other end a cluster, say 10 clusters or 12 clusters. All of them are different from each other and very, very similar within them. And you know that these kind of customers have similar demographics, similar purchase frequency, similar types of products they buy. Similarly, you can use things like hypothesis testing. Hypothesis testing is a technique where using data you want to understand whether your hypothesis is true or not. I'll give you an example. So health. So maybe talk about the price, right? Some customers are price sensitive, some customers are brand sensitive. And if you want to understand for each of those customer segments that you just created, what is true, either brand is true or not, and there are techniques out there that can help you understand using data whether brand strength is more important for this customer type, or is it the price. Some of the other things are like time series, which is analysis of trends over time. Is there seasonality, right? To give you an example, some of the customer segments are very, very heavy holiday shoppers. When I say holiday in Western context, it's the time period roughly from October end, when Halloween starts, up till New Year. Now that's a time where the whole retail industry goes through a boom, and some of the customers shop like 3 times, 4 times as much as they would otherwise shop in the rest of the year, but other customers don't. And the time series analysis helps you understand if there is seasonality for a particular customer segment or not. Similarly, the decision trees example would be, if a customer walks into a store, does customer want to buy a shampoo just, or does the customer want to buy a specific brand of shampoo, a specific size of the bottle, or a specific price point? So for some customer, the decision hierarchy would be, I just want any shampoo which is less than $10. That's it. And then you go in there and buys it. But the other customers would probably want to say, hey, I want to buy say L'Oreal, and then in that I want to go for anti-dandruff one, and then the next I would go for maybe something that is on discount. Now that is the decision hierarchy for that customer. And so there are some techniques where you can understand how customers go about taking those decisions. And then similarly, there's some other things like estimation, understanding how much incremental sales you are going to get if you reduce the price of a certain product for a certain customer segment. Sensitivity analysis. This is again around saying the price sensitivity, similar to estimation, but more specific to the price. So these are some of the examples, and don't get worried if you don't understand all of these terms. It's fine. That is why we are here. Great Learning will take you through all of these and many more other techniques. But I hope this solution kind of have made sense to you overall. If you have now, again, I'll stop to take some questions. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them on the chat box. Yep. So I have a question. Yep, I have a question. Talk about sensitivity analysis. Yes. So while I would have to say it takes a little more than a few minutes to explain what that is, but very high level sensitivity analysis is to understand the price sensitivity of the product, and depending on the customer. In some cases, when you drop prices, sales increases. In other cases, if you drop prices, it doesn't matter. In some cases, when you increase prices, sales decreases. But in other cases, if you increase, it does not matter. Sales will continue to be the same. And those are the kind of insights that you want to get from sensitivity analysis. So health ratings. Question on health ratings. Yes, so health ratings are basically what I'm not sure if it's a big thing in India, but definitely abroad, when customers are very, very health conscious. So when they want to buy a certain bread, or they want to buy some pre-processed food like like some noodles or some rolls. Then they want to understand, or some biscuits. They want to understand what is the health rating, how much sugar is there, right? And there are standard agencies who put stamps on the products. They'll come in form of like 5 stars on the product, and within that you can see whether it has 2 star or 3 star or 5 star. Like some of the drinks, some of the lemonades are very heavy on sugar, they'll have 3 star rating, whereas other of them would be 5 star. Some juices, right? All right, I think that that would be it on this slide. I think after this, it's all about you know um, coming up with the basic equation. At the end of the day, this is what the output look like, right? So when so this is actually an example from a real project that I did. And at the end of the day, what we had was, for every customer, every product would have a score, and then we will just sort the products by score for every customer. And it's a function of all those things that I talked about in the last slide. So it's a big equation that gives a score for each product for each customer, and then using that you can just identify which are top 15 that should go in the email. Okay, guys, I hope this was useful so far. Now I'll scan through all the questions that you have asked so far, and I'll try and answer as many as I can. All right. I think there are some of the questions around, analytics careers. The question around, we can analyze data on personal, professional. Yes, at the end of the day, analytics is basically any question you can answer using data. Doesn't matter what industry you are in, it's a professional or personal. Some question around careers. So yeah, so I think at the end of the day, the intent of learning analytics is basically to have the ability to understand how to extract insights from data. And what that means is that you may not necessarily need to understand the exact mathematical equations, how those work, but what you need to do is to understand how to interpret the outputs. And that is where it kind of becomes very, very important to not just be able to code, but to be able to interpret at the end of the day what it means, and accordingly apply into business. Then there are some questions around, can customer behavior be forecasted using data science? Yes, absolutely, it can be. And that's what a lot of people, a lot of big companies are doing. Yeah, so the question around, how about analytics and data science as a career for a person with an absolute different professional and educational background? Uh, yep. So I think that is what, when we conceived the idea of great learning, that was the exact intent, which is to look at professionals who have had who are pretty quite senior, who have had quite a few years of experience, and now want to transition into analytics. And the courses, the program structure at Great Learning is specifically aimed at enabling those kind of transitions. I think at this point in time, I would probably ask one of my colleagues to answer a question around how Great Learning program can help you transition in analytics. He's from program admissions team. Ravi, can you hear me? Ravi or Ajit? Just give me a second, guys. Hey, Ajit, are you there? Yeah. So I think there was a question around how this great learning program can help people transition who are in middle of their career with probably 10 plus years of experience. Okay. Sorry, guys, there's some technical challenges here. Just trying to unmute one of the panelists here. Just give it a second. In the meantime, I'll look at some other questions that I can probably answer better. So around primary category in which they retail. Okay. Yeah, so it's a supermarket. The way so it's about the case study. What kind of retail chain that is? Sorry, should have probably mentioned it. So it's just a supermarket, right? You can anything that you can think of under the sun that a household needs, you can basically buy it there. From consumables, vegetables to fruits to all the food stuff. To you can buy basically your cutlery there. You can buy umbrellas. You can buy clothes. You can buy everything. Okay. Yep. Ravi, are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Great. Thanks. So, Ravi, there was a question around, how this great learning program can help people transition, successfully. Especially for people who have had quite a few years of experience and are from a completely unrelated background. So, could you help elaborate on that?
Well, to answer to that question, the person who has actually asked this question, if you actually go and visit our website also and see the kind of batch profiles we have had in past, you will notice that the average batch experience for this kind of a program is somewhere around 9 years or so. And around 33-35% of the candidates actually come between 12 plus years to around 20-25 years of experience. And one big reason for this kind of a change, what we have seen is that the hiring at across all the levels, whether it is at the entry level, whether it is at the mid senior level or the senior level, is something which is on the rise, owing to the fact that most of the organizations are basing their decisions on the basis of the data rather than going purely on the experience of their managers. And someone coming from non-analytics or a non-technical background is something which is definitely not a concern. And I'll again go back to the batch profile in this case. Since 2013, since we have been doing this program, majority of our candidates have been coming from non-analytics background. And when I say majority, it is somewhere around 95% of the candidates come from non-analytics background. And within that also around 60 odd percent candidate come from non-IT background. So in order to help you out in the process, what we do in the program is that we start certain aspects of the program fairly from scratch or basics. And these aspects are basically your working hands-on on tools like R or Python, giving you a refresher course on statistics and bringing you up to pace in terms of because statistics is going to be an important element of the program. So someone who has spent a considerate amount of experience in one single domain, if you're looking forward to add analytics to your profile, then a typical opportunity which you can explore in the industry is where you can leverage your current domain experience and club it with analytics. That will be the most optimal utilization of your current experience, as well as the analytics, the tools and technologies what you would have learned in the program. And there have been many examples. In fact, last weekend, in fact, I was interacting with one of the senior candidates in our program. He is now an alumni of our BABI program. His name is Mr. Vilas. He was there at our center. He had around 17, 18 years of experience purely in the IT and technology space. And post completing this program, he was able to transition completely into analytics. He, in fact, moved away completely from his domain. So those examples are also there. Currently, he's working in Delhi with one of the Government of India projects. So opportunities do exist, given the fact that if you are putting in around 8 to 10 hours every week in the program, I don't think so that should be a big challenge for you to explore the outcome which you're looking for. Does that answer the question, Vipla?
Sorry, Ravi, I was on mute. Yeah, that answered. Thanks, Ravi. Thanks a lot. That answered the question. There was another question around, do we cover finance and sales strategy in this program, and what all different domains do we touch? Would you want to elaborate on that a bit?
Yes, so we do cover aspects related to financial and risk analytics. If you talk about digital marketing and social media analytics, so because these are some of these sectors like finance, e-commerce, retail, marketing, sales. These are some of the segments which are actively using analytics, and we have included them in the program. And you will be getting an exposure to how analytics works in these particular domains.
Yep. Thanks, Ravi.
Yeah,
I think
thank you.
there are there is another question around the standard question, Ravi. I think that you would have heard a lot. The candidate asks, some are focusing on AI and ML, and some are into analytics, and I'm confused, what to learn and how does both of them relate. Would you want to? So I think before you answer that, I would probably just want to add that AI and ML is slightly more tech heavy, and business analytics is slightly less tech heavy, and that's my understanding. Ravi, would want to elaborate on that?
Absolutely, Viplav. That is exactly a fair assessment of the difference between the two sides. In order to actually go ahead and do artificial and intelligence and machine learning part, you definitely need to have some basics set up there, and you need to have some core technical expertise in order to move into that area. And it also depends. I think Venkat has asked this question. So Venkat, it also depends upon what is the end outcome you are looking for. So if you want to be in analytics or in artificial intelligence, where you're completely focused on technical part, day in and day out, you are doing data crunching and number crunching and working on various tools and technologies and handing over the data to someone else. After working on that, then yes, you can definitely explore the AI, ML, and deep learning part and the other areas around that. But if you're looking forward to have a mixture of kind of a techno commercial kind of a role where you are equally skilled both on the technical side as well as the business front, then yes, business analytics makes more sense in that case.
Okay. Think Ravi, thanks. There's another question right after that from Mohammed Jafri, is to asking about if I cross skill into analytics out of my 12 years of testing and project management experience, do I need to start from scratch? I think you've kind of covered that already, but in case you want to add more on that.
No, I did cover that when I was talking about Mr. Vilas, who was one of our alumni, who was in fact one of our alumni. And so Mr. Mohammed, actually in this case, understand that given the fact that you have had around 12, 13 years of experience within a specific domain, so that matters a lot. And that is what you have to leverage when you are actually moving forward, whether within your own organization or outside your organization. When you are starting completely, suppose in analytics domain, then your current experience will not be counted as a zero experience, basically, because you have spent 12 years in the industry. And even the companies who are recruiting for these opportunities, they are also aware that what is the kind of experience that they will take as relevant experience, because your domain experience will definitely come into account. a very easy example which I can see is a consulting company who will be dealing with their in IT or technology projects. They will be more than happy to put someone like you in front, who knows or who has some experience in the IT domain, as well as who also has a firm grip on the analytical tools and technologies what we are teaching in the program. So you will not be treated as a fresher. We have seen in past also around 70-75% of the candidates have transitioned from the program to analytics, and they have not been treated in a manner where their experience was not taken into account or where their salary levels were not taken into account. So both the things are compensated equally well by the companies, and even the HRs know, to be very honest, that they cannot go ahead and offer someone who was earning like X lakh rupees salary in a year, and you offer them X minus something, unless and until it's a different kind of arrangement. If you are going for a startup, if you are going for something which is very niche and unique, there you might have to compromise depending upon the requirement of the organization and the kind of profile you're looking for. But more or less what we have seen, that most of the candidates don't do that kind of a compromise, and even the companies understand that.
Yep. Absolutely makes sense. I think there was another question from Bright around, is it suitable for students without any working experience? But I think Bright has just gone offline. But just in case.
Yes, just to answer that, if you don't have a work experience, well, the classroom program, you are kind of you'll not be eligible to participate. But yes, in an online program, because you will be able to do that, because we have small micro groups of around 8 to 10 students, where people with similar kind of an experience, even people who are freshers, they are grouped together, and then a mentor actually teaches them. So in an online program, you will be suitable. In the classroom program, the eligibility criteria does not matches your zero experience category.
Yeah. Thanks, Ravi. I would want to probably take a few questions that I've gathered. So one is what is around decision tree, how they are helpful. So I think in terms of how would you want to use once you know a decision tree of a customer, it's about how do you place products in the stores, or how do you place products on the website, what do you show first, and you want to align the placement of products as per the decision tree of a particular customer segment. So that's on that. Another question around what kind of softwares are required for analytics. I think there are quite a few different tools which are available in the market, but some of the very famous ones you would have already heard of, like R. There's a Python. There's a very age-old standard player, SAS. That's a very, very big company. But I think what is getting a lot more traction, and it looks very, very exciting, is the visualization side of things, where the analysis and the visualization is clubbed into one tool. The examples would be like Tableau, right? Or there is actually a very, very new company coming up in US called Domo. One of the coolest products I've seen, and I'm pretty sure in future, if you actually stay in the analytics industry, you will hear of them. Those are some of the products that use. Definitely, one thing I can say is in any analytical project you work on, there is someone in the team who is using SQL, right? So SQL is kind of very, very integral to analytics. Not necessarily for people who are managing analytics team, but the people who are actually extracting data. There was a question around post-campaign analysis. I think it's fairly standard practice in terms of how do you measure, and there are experimental designs in place where you keep certain part of your customers untouched with the campaign, so that becomes a control group, and then you try and understand how did the behavior of test group change in comparison to control group. So before receiving the campaign, both of them should have been exactly similar, both the groups of customers. And then after the campaign, in ideal world, what you would expect is the test group would behave slightly differently, either slightly higher purchase frequency, or slightly bigger basket size, or slightly more time spent online engaging with the product. Could be any of those. There was another question around how to know if I'm suitable. Well, see if you are looking to transition into analytics and you have basic aptitude with numbers, you're good for analytics. What I personally believe about analytics is like everyone in the world is doing analytics, whether or not he or she recognizes it or not. You're taking decisions on a daily basis based on the data that is stored in your brain from your memory or based on your knowledge of the world around you, and you're taking those decisions. Just that with the advent of technology, it has become scalable, and you can do it with massive speed, and in very much more smart ways than you would actually do with just your brain. uh, there's a question around how do you increase sales, if a product is price insensitive. Well, at the end of the day, the sales does not happen only because of price. There are many other things about the product that appeal to customer, and you might want to play around with some of the other attributes. There's a question around general success rate of forecast. See, if you think about basic probability, you'll say if I have to say, will this customer come to me this week or not, I can basically say yes or no, and I have 50% likelihood of being right. So a good forecasting model should at least increase that 50% to around 70-80%, right? That's when you have gained uh, some incremental benefit from just randomly saying will come or not come, where your chances of being successful is 50% or failing is 50%. So you want to change that to so. Uh, I have seen models that have worked with accuracy of 90+%, where you have massive amounts of data and you have very smart algorithms that keeps learning over time. But I think typically I would say, I've seen solutions being implemented where forecasting accuracy is around, 75%, 73%. In fact, the last project I worked on, it was around 73%. Still incremental benefit. Then there was a question around, do you need to know programming languages for analytical algorithms? Well, I think Ravi already answered that question. The answer is no. You do not need to know programming languages to answer those questions, to create analytical algorithms. You need to understand, what the problem is, what decisions you're trying to take, and what is data telling you. And you can basically design an algorithm, and somebody else can code it for you. There was a question around healthcare analytics in India. I think it is going to be massive field over next 10 to 20 years. It has already started happening in Western civilizations, in US and Europe and Australia. People are seeing tremendous change in the way the whole healthcare functions. Whether it's about detecting the issues with the patient, or identifying their history, coming up with patterns to preempt the investigation of the disease based on the data and what the recent test results look like. So what might happen at the same time, some of the things that you would have first level medicine practitioners to do in the past are now being done by machines. So in the field of AI, it is exploding like crazy, and I don't see India remaining untouched with that expansion, and especially with the size of the problem here and the size of the market. There are many players who would want to use AI, machine learning, analytics, and all those things in order to differentiate themselves and be successful. So that is basically list of all the questions that I had gathered. Like I would probably give a last shout to people who really wanted their question to be answered, but their question have not been answered. Okay, so that's the last bit of questions. There's a question from Kevin asking for what marketing analytics would you recommend for primarily offline category. Kevin, there are very very advanced papers available. This is a kind of pretty much solved problem. There are models in place which have been used for quite a few decades before the advent of internet and information technology. I would probably recommend you to go and search for them, do some secondary research. Maybe you would need to buy some, and you will definitely get your hands on that. It's called market mix modeling, the broad topic. There is a question around how is analytics different from BI? Okay, good question. So if you remember the slide that I showed earlier, it was the analytics layers. If you notice at the top, there was decision support, and then there was below it was visualization, right? I'll probably show you that slide very quickly if you want to. Sorry. Yep. So that's the one I'm talking about. So if you see here at the second layer is visualization, right? So BI is basically business intelligence, and all the tools that are out there, just go across as BI tools, are basically trying to provide intelligence to business leaders, and basically that's what BI layers are for, right? But uh, typically business intelligence tools are not very smart. They can't do data science, they can't create forecasting models, or they can't do segmentations, and the outputs of these forecasting models or segmentations are to be fed into those tools so that then you can visualize the insights. But I'm pretty sure in future you will see BI tools which will be doing end to end of it, and like I mentioned earlier, Domo is one of them, which can really does data engineering for you, data science, visualization, and can help you track decisions as well. So analytics as a whole is the cycle that I talked about earlier, right? Which the cycle of doing all this from top down, planning and executing, and then this goes on. BI layer is just one of the layers which enables you to do that. I think there is a question around. If you give more data, if more data gives accuracy, where does data come from? Well, data comes from human behavior. You need to put up tools in place to capture that. Okay, I think that will be it for the day, guys. Thanks a lot for attending the webinar, and I would encourage you to reach out to us. Go to our website, greatlearning.in. Feel free to email us, give us a call. You can find me on LinkedIn as well. Ping me, and I will try to answer all your questions as much as possible. Ravi, do you have any other point you want to say before we close this off?
No, I think so. There are a couple of people who have not been answered. So I would just request that we will definitely reach out to you. We have your details with us, and we'll be reaching out to you separately to answer the questions related to specifically on the program and the admissions. So please do not worry that your question remain unanswered. Just because of the time constraint, we'll not be able to go ahead with that right now. But we will for sure reach out to you between today and tomorrow to get that answered.
Thanks, Ravi. Thanks a lot. All right. Have a good day, guys. Keep smiling, be safe, and take good care of yourself and your family. And let's study analytics and keep learning. All the best. Thank you.